playing around with it, but what's the actual to-do on how to do mindfulness? Especially when we start with this first one, which is an attention training, where we really focus on the two fingers or the hand in front of us. How do we get ourselves in a meeting to really be able to pay attention? Okay, so the process that we're going to start talking about is a 4-step process. And the first one is just anchoring in the breath. The first step, right, is just first noticing that we are breathing. How often are we breathing and not even knowing we're breathing? Probably like 99% of the day, right? So even just being able to anchor and follow the breath is that first step of the mindfulness practice. Now, the second step is, and actually as we're doing this, before I get into distraction, when we follow the breath, the first thing is also setting an intention for the practice. Whether it's I just want to become and learn how to be more focused. Whether it's I want to start developing my emotional intelligence skills. Whether it's I just want to be able to be more present for my family when I get home. And so in the car ride, I'm going to start getting really present so that when I get home, I'm actually able to be there. And as we've talked about before, so even setting the intention gives that the mind the focus on that we're going to start moving into that domain. Okay, so we're even training the mind through setting the intention to move through it. Now, the next step is that our mind actually will get distracted. I get the question all the time, well, shouldn't my mind be completely empty and I should have no thoughts? Well, no, that's not actually going to happen. Maybe over years and years, sometimes I reach that state more often now. But in the beginning, I even asked my teacher, I'm like, my mind is going all over the place. What is going on? Like, I can't do this. And he's like, yeah, that's normal. Okay, so our mind will get distracted, and that's perfectly okay part of the process. The question is, what do we do about it once we notice the mind is wandering? Because it will go into the past or the future, and that's perfectly normal. Now, when we notice the distraction, the next step is noticing it, and then with kindness and curiosity, like we mentioned earlier, that we're not beating ourselves up that our mind wandered. It's perfectly okay. It will happen. I will guarantee you your mind will wander. The question is noticing it and then bringing it back to the anchor, which is the breath, and that's how we'll teach it to you this morning. But it could be a saying that you say to yourself. It could just be, say, I'm being present. Be present, right? A word that can kind of bring you back. The breath is often the easiest one to bring it back to. It's noticing the mind wandering. And then just remember, breathe in, breathe out. Does that make sense? Okay, so that 4th step is reorientation of the attention and bringing it back to the breath. And we'll keep doing this, because even in a short attention training practice of mindfulness, your mind will wander many times. Not just once, right? Okay, so every time it happens, bringing it back to the breath. Now, let's talk about the actual posture and how do we sit. We talked about it a little bit. But the main thing with your posture and how you sit in a meditation or a mindfulness practice is really to the place where your body feels comfortable. You don't want to be in a place where your body's so uncomfortable that your mind can't actually settle. So we want a posture where our back is straight, right, or leaning into a chair so that it's comfortable. We want something where our feet are resting on the floor, ideally. We want a place where we can actually also, if we're comfortable, close our eyes and be able to have like the sense of you're not putting just the right amount of effort. It's not too much effort, but you're not so relaxed that you're just going to perhaps fall asleep or, you know, oh, this is so comfortable, I'm just going to lay down for a little bit, right? So you want someplace in between where those two places are, it's like the Goldilocks effect, that we can have it somewhere in the middle. Okay? Any questions on the posture? So we're going to go then into our first longer mindfulness. We did a couple short little ones. And this one, as Jen mentioned, is really focused on attention training. So getting us to the place where we can bring our attention back to the breath and be in that present moment more and more and more. Yeah, question?
Anytime you talk about posture, I go back and forth between yoga. So if you sit in upright, your feet are flat, then correct posture, which very few people have.
Yeah.
And it's tiresome, right? Because it's your core that we don't have maybe as developed as we should.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth, and I can do this, and I can